or two before, and they were still trying to find themselves and get their new identity, and TCU put it to them. So I can guarantee you, with this viral winning by different teams in this conference, Texas will not take them lightly tonight, Lowell.
Prince Ibeh opens up by winning the tip. This already going much better than it did in Fort Worth on the 9th. Remember that Texas had the technical foul before the game even started because they turned in the incorrect starting five. DeMarcus Holland was on that list but was not at the game. That put them behind early on.
That's a great call, and they end up losing by a point. So
everything counts in Big 12 play.
Absolutely, this year especially.
Chauncey Collins picked up the early foul on the opening possession. Lammert thinks twice. Ibeh, tough look. I'm going to say he stepped out of bounds. The defense on that play from Vladimir Grodzianski. Back into the starting five as TCU is shaking up that starting five just a little bit.
Yeah, Grodzianski just needs to get a little stronger. They like him. He's a very good player, international player, who's come and done a nice job for this TCU team. He just needs to add a little weight and strength.
Going up against the interior presence of Ibeh, but second effort there, Brandon Parrish getting TCU the early lead.
Well, yeah, and Isaiah's got to see ball and man, fell asleep, and Parrish just snuck in right behind him with the offensive rebound.
Felix the kick to Prince Ibeh, and that is what the big fella does best.
Yeah, and I like how he was on the opposite side of the ball, which created the opportunity there for him to catch and dunk. This is what he can do for you offensively. Dribble drive, help, put the ball in the basket. That's just simple basketball, playing smartly.
Hit every shot he made in the first matchup against TCU, and Prince hitting another one there, 2 for 2. Now it's time to go to Adventureland, as Shaka Smart refers to it, the free throw line.
It is an adventure, but how about the work early? Look at Ibeh there. Gets position. That's a nice finish there around the rim. And that all happened because he did his work early, Lowell, getting position under the basket. How about the first 3 possessions here all going through Ibeh? Who would have thought it?
We're expecting to say that after the injury to Cam Ridley.
No, and they're actually going to him. 2 of the 3. One was on the drive by Felix, created by drawing the help, and then the other 2, they actually went to him.
Lane violation, so Prince Ibeh gets another shot. Off glass and good. Shaka says he'll hit 10 in a row in practice, but can't translate it to the game. Did you see the smile and the laugh here from Cam Ridley?
Well, these are big-time points here. This is a lot because they don't expect a lot of offense from Ibeh, but when you can get 5 points to start the game, that's pretty big time.
Relentless pressure here from Texas. Chauncey Collins, no good. Rebound, Prince Ibeh.
Let's see if they keep going to him, taking advantage of the mismatch here. Yes.
He's getting that position, although Michael Williams tried to come in from behind for the steal. I'm going to say Javon Felix got into Williams there as he draws the charge.
Just wasn't crisp once he got the swing. And you want to make them pay. I mean, especially with Ibeh scoring, they're actually going to double. I mean, that's got to be a first this season.
Prince Ibeh coming off one of his best games at Fog Island Fieldhouse. Played 35 minutes, 7 blocks in that game, career high. Got a foul on Isaiah Taylor.
This TCU team not having Williams, Kendrick Williams has really hurt them, you know, from the beginning of the season, having him out. It's just been a struggle for them, especially in this difficult Big 12 conference.
No nights off here. Parrish, open look for 3. On the rebound, Isaiah Taylor.
This is when Texas is best. When they're attacking, this is exactly what Coach Smart wants Isaiah to do. Attack the rim and probe. He's either going to get a shot for himself. You'll see here, see the little hesitation. Defense rests. can't do that against a guard as good as Isaiah. That little hesitation move there at the top of the key was the difference in him being able to finish at the rim.
And then a turnover immediately after that. The third one forced by Texas in the early goings. See if Texas can double it up again. Taylor floating it up. He was looking for Ibeh. We got a push.
Yeah, we got a push. That was going to be a lob dunk right at the rim.
Trent Johnson, former head coach at Nevada, Stanford, LSU, in his fourth season at TCU. Asked him about where they are in the process of building this program earlier today, and he said he doesn't like the word building. They are in year number 4. They should be winning. Johnson brutally honest about where this program stands. Felix driving on Trent.
I like that drive. You mentioned, Coach, Trent Johnson talking about the program and the emergence of it, and I like that. He is a competitor, and he wants to win. I mean, he's not one to make a whole lot of excuses, and he's had a great career, did a great job at LSU and Stanford and Nevada. He's one of the better coaches in the NCAA.
But attention to details, and right now, TCU not paying attention to those details. Malik Trent, second leading scorer, comes off the bench, and he's already back on the bench with 2 fouls.
Yeah, and that's just a function of being patient, a little over-aggressive. I think Texas has created that by their aggression on the offensive end. They're really in attack mode.
And Texas, a much different team when they enter the game engaged like they did against the Kansas Jayhawks. Prince, the nice kick to Kendall Yancey. Yancey in and out. J.D. Miller with a rebound for TCU. Probably the best athlete on this TCU team.
We got a shot clock issue.
So as they get this figured out, Shaka Smart thinks he's starting to get this program figured out. What drives his players. And a large part of it is him. The motivation he puts into them each and every day. So much energy. And the workouts, the shoot-arounds, the practices. He said what he wants from his guys in this game, an extreme level of motivation and drive.
And drive is what he's all about, Lowell. And he's just, to your point, done a great job. I mean, during the season, what he's done with this program is they've had to reinvent themselves a few times. And, you know, from the start with his core values and trying to instill those and getting new plays down and an ideology. And then they started to get some traction after the road trip around the world, or what seemed like was around the world with many games. And then Ridley goes down. And they've got to reinvent themselves again. And so they've just been resilient all year long.
Now game number 9 without Cam Ridley. Got a little update on his condition, as it's been 4 weeks since that surgery to repair the broken foot. He's going to start a little more weight-bearing exercises now. Seeing what they've done, though, last 5 games since that loss to TCU. You said the confidence has been the biggest edge. Anything different they've done schematically, the way they've actually operated offensively or defensively?
I think they've really had to mix things up. When Ridley was in play, they were very clear about going through him consistently. But since then, they've had to find different ways to win. And, I mean, you can't leave out the fact that they don't turn the ball over. At least they haven't in the last 5 games or so. And so they're just finding different ways to win, with Isaiah Taylor and Felix really being the most consistent and pillars of what they do, particularly on the offensive end.
35 turnovers the past 5 games. They had 45 in the first 3. Isaiah Taylor going down hard to get that rebound.
And Isaiah, I mean, that move there, that's just his experience there with the ability. I mean, he just went in there and drew that foul, which I've talked about it before. That's a skill, being able to make people foul you and then selling it to the referees.
16 fouls for TCU, the opening 3 minutes of action. Taylor working on Collins. All the way, no, but Yancey there for the rebound, the putback, and Yancey gets it to go for his first make of the night.
And you see Texas, again, stays with that aggression, both on both ends of the floor. I mean, they're really got this press up deep in the backcourt.
TCU able to break it. That's J.D. Miller.
And J.D. is a freshman. A lot of NBA people like him, like his length and ability to do that, finish the basketball. He's got a very bright future. Very young, but he's got a bright future.
Oh, Prince working him off the dribble. It was a nice move. Couldn't get the finish, but no complaints with Prince Ibeh in the early going. He has been a force inside. Normally saying that defensively, when it's been on the offense.
Against ranked programs. I asked Coach Shaka Smart, what's different about this team from then? He says they're just more confident. He also reminded me, DeMarcus Holland wasn't in that game, and they were still trying to play without Cam Ridley. He thinks that they finally figured out how to do that. Guys, back to you.
Well, this is big. Shaq Claire now into the game for Texas. Did not finish against Kansas after injuring that right shoulder. You can see it's taped up. Returned to practice yesterday, and first possession in, goes to work on Kamar Shepard. And now we have all 7 buckets in this game. Layups are dunks. The steal from Isaiah Taylor. Flipping it to Roach. And there's Kerwin Roach. Texas starting to find the rhythm. Really get that havoc working.
Yeah, they've got all 5 people in the backcourt with this press. This is a very difficult press to beat. Texas is trying to turn them over, clearly.
Michael Williams, no. Lambert with the rebound. Texas is coming out determined to set the tone in this game. I would say they're doing that.
Determined to establish who's going to win this game. I mean, look how aggressive they are. I mean, this press, you'll see here, they're looking to turn them over. Sometimes you're pressing just to take clock or make teams make a mistake. But Texas here, as you saw with Isaiah shooting the gap on that pass, Texas is looking to come up with steals. And then you get the benefit. So, for example, with Roach getting the foul, you get the benefit to set your press up quite quickly because of the free throws, because you stop the action. It just makes it that much more easy. I mean, look how far Shaq Claire is up. I mean, he's almost into the backcourt. This press is going to cause TCU some problems if they don't figure it out pretty quickly.
Coach Smart told this team a day ago in practice, we need to have a sense of urgency to come out and create points off turnovers. And they're doing that so far in the early going. 5 points off turnovers for Texas.
Yeah, and I don't know that I've seen a game where they've established not only this kind of lead this early, but this kind of control of a game this early. Maybe UTSA was the only game that might have been a little similar.
Once again, TCU just trying to run out of that pressure, and they run into trouble. 5 turnovers now for the Horned Frogs. Kick out to the it factor. And Eric Davis, a little strong on that one.
And Texas is playing such tough defense. It's very difficult for TCU to control tempo. They're forcing them to try to make plays.
Collins' response hitting from outside. TCU now 3 of 8 from the field. Right back at you. Kerwin Roach going baseline. Taylor with the floater.
Yeah, just negating anything that TCU is trying to do offensively. Collins made the nice jump shot for TCU, and he generates most of the offense for them on the perimeter. But, I mean, that'll take the air out of you. And the team comes right back. Boy, that looked a little, shall I say, Curry-ish? Or is that not fair? Ooh,
that's not fair.
Okay.
That's not
I won't say it.
Did you watch the game last night?
I did watch the game.
Spurs fans still trying to recover.
I watched part of the game.
Yeah, there wasn't much reason to keep watching in the second half. So Taylor, 2 buckets, but also 2 fouls. The seat with the coaching staff now.
Shaq, I mean, this is part of the new rule. Just can't impede movement. Got to give space and allow guys to move freely. Now Texas in the zone. They're going to force them to try to shoot over top.
Shaka said this week really doesn't like playing zone, but he did admit it's been effective at times for him this season. TCU, worst shooting team in Big 12 play. Devin Mack to the hoop. Brodzianski with the rebound. So far, only one three-point shot attempted for Texas. Keep in mind, going back, that first matchup against TCU went 3 of 21 from outside.
Yeah, they really struggled. I thought that was the difference, was the three-point shooting in that first game against TCU.
Vontae Abram, second chance bucket there. Claire feeling the double team.
And here TCU trying to give Texas a taste of their own medicine and play a zone. They can get them right out of that, either breaking them down and getting into the seams, which they're so good at.
Mack pulls up, gets it to go. Opportunity for the three-point play.
Well, they got in the seam, but not off the dribble. And that's textbook in the way that you beat a zone. There you'll see Mack just flash right to the ball. Freshman to freshman, a nice pass. Not an easy shot. Vladimir Rodzinski.
Close enough. It's a good try, Lance. Devin Mack at the line trying to complete the three-point play. Went scoreless in that first matchup against TCU. We played 5 minutes in that game.
No, I think Mack will be a much better player when he learns to discern good shots from bad shots. He's really struggled with that in the early part of the season. I love his aggression, as you see there.
Yeah.
And he makes a lot of what I call freshman errors, freshman mistakes. There's no need for that foul. Create a little space and set your defense up.
And he's playing the 4 a lot for Texas,
which is a little out of place for him.
So ideally, when they stock up the talent they want to have across the board, where is his ideal spot?
His ideal spot's a 3. And I think, to your point, when they add a little size, he'll be able to play in his natural position.
You like fouls, Lance?
Here we go again, another what I call a freshman foul.
1 possession, 2 fouls for Tevin Mack. Coach Smart's going to let him play through. 8 fouls for TCU, 6 for Texas.
Well, and he'll get the benefit of the zone and not fouling here.
Abram, back-to-back buckets, that time working on the big fella, Prince Ibeh.
Yeah, and he gets into his body there, and Ibeh can't block shots or distort the shot in any way. He's got to create some space. He's got the size difference.
Falik's looking for the inside. Roach has lost his shoe. Javon Falik's rattling out. Rebound, Abram. So Kerwin Roach is going to throw it over. Good catch from Shaka Smart.
Well, we got shoes flying around. We've had a little bit of everything in the early start to this game.
Collins for 3. Too much on that one. No shoe, no basketball. Turnover. Collins with the rejection from Prince Ibeh. Goes down hard and gets back up to go back to work.
How about recognizing that your teammate doesn't have his shoe?
3 straight buckets inside from Abram.
And I'm not sure that's the guy you want to have the ball, that being Roach, when he doesn't have a shoe on his foot.
Well, we saw Prince Ibeh hit the court hard earlier this season. Ended up costing him a game.
With the block. I mean, if he's having fun, that creates the kind of spirit you want. And as I mentioned a moment ago, he's filling big shoes with Ridley being out, but he's doing it in fine fashion and helping this Texas team with this early lead.
And maybe the most impressive line in the box score for him, the 0 when it comes to fouls. Staying out of foul trouble as Roach picks up the foul. And that's really remarkable to think that Ibeh went for 35 minutes against Kansas. Was able to stay out of foul trouble. This was a guy that we saw come into games, sometimes go 12 minutes and done because of those fouls.
And it's a balance. I think it's hard. It's been hard to keep him on the floor because of the fouls. And, from his perspective, maybe it's been hard to figure out the new system with the refereeing, and he needs the reps and minutes. And so with Ridley being on the bench, he's been able to get the minutes and get comfortable being in situations where he knows how to play different people and not foul. Here's that aggressive press again.
Jam, what can you add about Prince?
Well, you know, senior center Prince Ibeh set 2 records for himself, which included those 35 minutes played and those 7 blocks. Since losing Cam, he's just one of the guys that's really stepping up. You know, Coach says the one thing that he is just really struggling with is that free throw line. He's just nailing him at practice, but he thinks he gets nervous during the game. This year alone, he's 3 of 21. Coach says they're going to keep working with him. Hope that eventually what he does in practice ends up translating to games. And tonight, he's 1 for 1. So a little bit of improvement, guys.
Well, J.D. Miller helping TCU hang in this game. Got that bucket. It's a foul after that bucket, so Abram going to the line. Felix picks up foul number 2. So the guards in foul trouble here for Texas with Felix and Taylor both with 2 fouls. Abram hits the first of the 1-and-1.
Yeah, and I think when Texas gets a lead and then they've got different guys coming in and out of the game, you've got to learn as a teammate to maintain and build on that lead. I mean, that too is an art form for a team, and as they grow into this season, that'll be something important to watch.
Icing and dicing. Snoop Roach through the TCU defense.
And with TCU just not having the shot blockers, Roach should be able to have a lot of fun around that rim tonight.
Going to call Roach for the kick ball. He went down to the court to try to get that one. You see Roach under control for this bucket.
Yeah, he's under control, and there you see there's no one at the rim that can really cause him any problems, so he's able to finish quite easily.
Another turnover. Number 6 for TCU. Holden's going to slow it down. Felix lines it up. Oh, Lambert, a little too aggressive. What you probably like seeing, if you can get besides the fact that there's going to be a foul call on Connor Lambert.
Well, he went over the back of Washburn there, but, I mean, that was a big-time rebound. Watch this. He just flies out of nowhere. And had Washburn not run in to get that, that would have been quite a special rebound. And you don't want to take away that aggression, to your point, Lowell. You want guys crashing the boards like that, especially when you got the size advantage.
A little history between Lambert and Washburn. Washburn was the player that not only hit the eventual game winner for TCU against Texas, he was the one that blocked Lambert close to the buzzer to ensure that victory for the Horned Frogs. Lambert with the rebound. Felix Collins Ford on the opposite side. That's going to be a foul call on Brandon Parrish.
And I think this is where Texas is best. When they get the ball out and they are in attack mode, I think, if there was a way we could measure their ability to score the ball, they clearly have a lot more success early in the clock, than they do in the latter part of the clock. They're just very good, and that speaks to Coach Smart's emphasis on aggression. And that's just something that this team has learned to turn into buckets.
And they certainly stress that. Even those transition threes that perhaps watching at home it feels like the team falls in love with at times, but the coaches stress, if you have an open look for transition 3, that's a good shot for them as long as you are set and going into that shot 1-2.
Yeah, time, clock, and situation. Some of the freshmen are still learning that, but I think these older guys are very good at it here at UT.
More pressure here. Texas relentless, trying to create those turnovers. We've already forced 6 of them. Only 2 for Texas. There's the ultra-athletic J.D. Miller. And a mismatch there with Isaiah Taylor.
Good job by TCU taking advantage of the mismatch there with Taylor on him. Texas got a taste of its own medicine there.
How's TCU sticking in this one, Lance?
I think it's just the fact that lineup changes by Texas.
Prince,
nice pass over the top by Taylor.
Doesn't force it. And Prince continues fantastic start. He's got 7 points. And we get the travel call here on Kavar Shepard.
You asked how did they stay in it. Okay, so Texas now is gaining momentum and starting to get some turnovers and scoring the ball. Not only does this team need to maintain the pressure, but when guys come off the bench, they've got to be able to sustain that pressure, not make silly mistakes, and build on the lead.
Holland with the drive. And no surprise, we got another whistle.
Yeah, and I appreciate the aggression, but very fortunate by Holland to get that call. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought, yeah, the defense was set. I mean, there was no reason to continue driving all the way to the rim. But this is where Texas has been able to maintain the lead with this press. It's just been very difficult for TCU to do anything with it.
So Holland called for the charge. Collins full speed ahead. Prince Ibeh with some contact on that shot. No foul. Collins just shakes his head. Prince Ibeh will do that to you from time to time.
Yeah, and Collins is a guy that TCU would like to slow down a little bit. And so when you dangle this press in front of him, it's not something that he's going to want to do. There you see him with his head down a little bit in frustration, because you can be aggressive in the press, but you don't always have to go score to penalize the team. You know, and he's fast and quick, and he can maneuver real well with the ball. But he's got to recognize when to attack the rim and when to pull the ball out and run some clock and potentially get a better shot.
Good ovation for Prince Ibeh as he goes to the bench. He's already tied his season high in scoring with 7 points. And I talked to him a little bit about affecting shots that maybe don't show up in the stat line as blocks. It looked like in that transition situation, it was one of those moments where even though it doesn't come up with the block, he certainly affected that shot from Collins.
Yeah, he did. Not only did the press affect Collins, but Ibeh finished it by forcing him to take a difficult shot. But you mentioned sustaining that lead, this lead, and building on it. Now we've got new lineup in. These guys, Roach and such, coming off the bench, they've got to maintain what their teammates did before.
And another whistle.
Okay, here's our answer right here, Lowell. Now we're getting the fouls. Bonus situation. Now you're able to hang around. You know, Shaq comes off the bench. Roach comes off the bench. Again, they've got to be smart, not only in not fouling, but playing solid defense and closing out possessions.
So Lambert picks up foul number 2. We now have 7 players with at least 2 fouls in the first half of this game. Lambert, Mack, Taylor, Felix for Texas.
And with Texas, sometimes it may not show up the way it does with other teams, simply because that being the foul situation or foul trouble, because Texas is extremely deep, as we know. I mean, Shaka, on any given night, he'll play 10 or 11 guys comfortably. It's a nice luxury for this Texas team.
Davis putting the body on Shepard. He'll go to the line.
Yeah, and their TCU was in the zone, but just because you're in the zone doesn't mean you can't use screens. Davis did a good job, very patiently waiting on the screen. Was able to get a driving lane and get to the line.
First attempt from the line for Davis, and it is good. Coming up on Friday, 7 Central Time, we've got Game Plan with Shaka Smart. Opportunity to hear from the head coach of Texas Hoops. Not just talking about the X's and O's, we get into philosophy as well. Really no telling what we're going to talk about on this show with Shaka Smart. Great personality, and he's great to work with as long as you bring the energy. It's like watching one of those practices, watching him in the game. Even when he's in the studio, all energy, all the time.
Yeah, he instills that in this roster in every single player. And I mean, that's just, you talk about a culture or an identity. Their identity, energy is an important part of it.
Jay Billis recently had the opportunity to go all access with Shaka Smart. We're going to have part of that experience coming up at the half. So under 8 minutes left to go here in the first half. Texas holding on to the 10-point lead. Largest lead of the game, 11 points by Texas.
Now, I really like how Texas hasn't given this TCU team a steady diet defensively.
Switching it up, and in this instance, it leads to turnover number 8. Shaq Claire coming up with that.
Yes, it does lead to that. Very difficult to measure a team defensively if you're playing against them and they're not giving you the same look. Texas benefiting from that. But this is where Texas has struggled offensively, when they've had to play slow basketball and create offense.
There's one of those rare turnovers from Prince Ibeh. The way they've been protecting the ball, it's been lights out for Texas. They're up double digits with 7:22 left in the first.
If you will, Texas has done a great job of being relentless. They're looking to trap. They're in the passing lanes. And not only that, they're turning that defense into offense. Extreme pressure. And here you'll see it again. Speak of pressure.
Those turnovers leading the points for Texas. But more so than those 5 points off turnovers, is the way it's really set the control of this game and the direction of Texas really from the jump. Shepard with the miss. Prince Ibeh.
Shepard
down.
You want to call that a post up, how far he is off the block. Good job by Shaq there, pushing him out.
Davis off the back iron. TCU did enter this game last place in the Big 12 in terms of the most turnovers per game. Something looks like Coach Smart and the staff here at Texas identified as the game plan going in. There's another one. Kerwin Roach. Showtime! Oh, he went easy on us, Lance.
Yeah, just no traffic. He needs traffic.
Yeah.
When you
he wants to make a poster over somebody.
Absolutely.
I was thinking windmill, 360, something for the dunk contest, if you will.
Yeah, but you know what? At the end of the day, it's 2 points.
He made it. He made it. That's all that's important here. Texas up by 12. Another Kerwin Roach Jr. leading scorer in this game. 9 points in 9 minutes as Texas is up by 12. And Jane, you saw this maturation, this learning experience go on before this game from Texas.
Yeah, it was interesting. You know, Chaka likes to keep his freshmen engaged. He's been doing this thing called freshman orientation, which is once a week just getting with these guys, giving them anecdotes, articles, takeaways, just checking in with them. Today, he showed him a YouTube video of Troy Daniels, a former player at VCU, a guy who didn't play a lot his freshman and sophomore year, came on his junior and senior year, and in the video today, it essentially showed Troy Daniels just going off. The Hornets reserve dog a huge game in his last outing, 28 points, including the game-winning three-pointer with less than 10 seconds to go in double overtime. The message is stick with the process, believe in it, put in the hard work, and I think it is beginning to resonate with some of these freshmen guys. Shot
clock violation, turnover number 10 for TCU. What kind of help did you have as a freshman, Lance?
Well, I had great coaches and good friends.
From Shaq.
How about Shaq? There we go. I mean, now he's got the two bigs on the floor. And Shaq and Ibeh. This will be very difficult for TCU to score around the rim with the two bigs in the game.
Largest lead of the game, 14 points for Texas. Foul on the floor. That move by Shaq, that's something that we saw a lot of last season in practice when he was sitting out that transfer year coming over from Maryland. That made a lot of people around the program very excited about his potential.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's a girthy young man and had success at the high school level. And sitting out a year, I mean, that'll force you to do a lot of growing, a lot of soul searching. And I think Coach Smart has done a great job of integrating him. And to Shaq's credit, he really hadn't sulked. He's given all he's had with every opportunity. And there have been nights when he hadn't played a lot, and other nights where he has played a lot. And I think he's given, all that he can give. I mean, Coach Smart has a phrase they're saying, be the best version of yourself is what he tries to do with each guy. And I think Shaq's done that thus far this season.
Tough guy as well. Training staff initially thought he would be out longer with that right shoulder injury that's taped up right now. And he said it's happened before, not a big deal. Prince with the save. Davis The drive and kiss off the glass.
Big time move and big time offense there with ball movement. I mean, that was just textbook in the way that they moved the ball, didn't stick in people's hands. It created the opportunity for Davis.
The freshman class is fun to watch. And they all bring something different to the table.
Yeah, and here defensively, they just got to keep their men in front of them because there's really not going to be a lot of offense opportunity around the rim with these bigs on the floor.
Washburn with the drive. Prince Ibeh affects that shot. Miller with the rebound. Corner three is good for Chris Washburn.
Yeah, and Ibeh in uncharted territory out on the perimeter trying to guard. You still got to get a hand up. Washburn able to step away, took advantage of Ibeh sleeping at the wheel.
And there is a travel call. When it goes to Chris Washburn, missed 11 games, broken hand.
Yeah, and we talked about it earlier with Kenrich Williams being out. Washburn was another one that caused setbacks early in the season because of the finger injury. And that's what it's been like for Coach Johnson just here early in this time with this program.
Trent Johnson trying to get this one figured out. Need to hold on to that basketball. They want to 57% in the first half. They're up by 11 over TCU. If you look at the Texas coaches and the TCU coaches, you'll see a little bit of a wardrobe change. Jane, it's an important change, isn't it?
It is important. It's in memory of Lacey Hallsworth, an 8-year-old basketball fan who died of cancer. It's part of Suits and Sneakers Awareness Week that supports the American Cancer Society. So the coaches just doing their part to remember Lacey and others with pediatric cancer. Guys, back to you.
Good look. Great cause.
Great cause. The NCAA and a lot of the programs do a great job of raising awareness around cancer. Jimmy V and all the work that they've done is just great purpose.
Abram had a chance to get it to single digits, missed both free throws. TCU and Texas, two teams that have both struggled near the bottom in the Big 12 ranks from the charity stripe. Under 4 minutes here in the first half.
To the stripe, that's one of the keys Texas this tonight versus when they were in Fort Worth. I mean, 12 free throws tonight, connecting on 10 of them, not chunking up threes, only shooting 4 versus 21 in Fort Worth last time. So impressive game plan. And how about this, Lowell? They drop back, no press, with time to set one up.
You said they switched it up a lot to keep TCU off balance.
That's right. Not a steady diet for sure.
Well, they almost got one right there with Kerwin Rhodes. And Miller misses everything.
Yeah, and almost had to pay. I think against a better shooter on the perimeter, the freshman there would really pay for that defense. You know, you can almost say it wasn't great defense because he goes for the steal, takes himself out of the play, and gives up what seemingly could have been an easy look.
Lance, you mentioned only 4 3-pointers. We've seen this team a lot. They like to let it fly from distance. How much of that is game plan, a concerted effort to go and work inside? How much of that just the flow of the game?
I think all of it is flow of the game and a function of defense and what it's done with them turning the ball over. TCU or Texas forcing turnovers.
0 for 5 now from 3-point range. Felix 0 for 6. And fighting for that rebound, but it's corralled by J.D. Miller.
I mean, they really don't need to make threes. TCU is trying to force them to shoot them, but they're able to get into those seams.
Washburn to Shepard.
Texas has such a size advantage with the bigs inside Shepard. There's no way to contend against Ibeh's length.
So now on cue, they start letting the 3-pointers fly.
Yeah, we started this. Hello, it's our coach.
Now miss from Lammert, who's 5 of 7 against Kansas. Those 5 3-pointers make his career high. Nice roll there from Chris Washburn.
Yeah, Washburn, even though he plays the floor, he's better out on the floor. And so the Texas bigs have got to do a little better job of getting into him and forcing him to shoot over and out extended hand, not give him the space that they've been giving him on the perimeter.
He's stretching it out a little more than we've seen him in the past. That 3-pointer earlier in the game, his first of the season.
Yeah, and there, Roach cheated a little bit and got inside on the wing so he could get into a seam. You know, just because a team plays a zone, you don't have to shoot threes. I mean, especially with Texas's size, and I mean, they've got a little bit of everything on the floor. They've got length, they've got guys that can put it on the floor, and they've got shooters.
Roach misses that free throw attempt. Has a chance to go into double-digit scoring. You see the foul trouble here. 5 with 2 for Texas. 4 with 2 for TCU. I would say this is one of the most whistles we've had in the game here at the Irwin Center so far.
Yeah, and I think it's just both, well, on Texas's part, just being aggressive all over the floor. And now they're staying back in this zone. You know, with only a minute and 25 to go in the half, it's going to be important for Texas to at least sustain and potentially build on this lead. It's a totally different game if it's under 10 going into the locker room.
Prince Ibeh affects that shot once again. Miller tried to take it up over the big fella.
And that's where Ibeh is best, when he's coming over to help from the weak side, because he's so long. He can get ahead of steam and really get up in the air to block shots or alter them.
A little smile from Felix. He thought he had a good look for 3. Texas usually using the patient approach.
Yeah, I think where Texas is, when they've had trouble with this zone, it's been a function of them being passive, and I thought that was passive. You know, Lowell, you and I could just sit out on the perimeter and pass it around the horn, if you will, or around the zone. You've got to probe that defense. We saw it earlier with
it seemed like they were doing that earlier.
Exactly. Yeah. And then they've almost, and potentially it's the fact that they're playing a zone which has affected their offense, and they've almost lulled themselves, no pun intended, lulled themselves to sleep. You like that, don't you?
I love it. You have not hit organic or holistic, though, so far on the broadcast, leaving me a little disappointed. Even though you gave me the name drop, I appreciate that.
I will get there. Different spelling, but name drop, for sure.
34 seconds here in the first half, 14 on the shot clock. Lead has grown to as large as 14 points. TCU with a chance to get it within single digits. Can't get it on the Shepherd miss.
Yeah, but you live with the shot. And they had the screen up top, which would created the seam. You know, the bigs
wants to talk about it.
Can't get a lot done against Texas around the rim.
So 16 seconds left to go in the first half. What's going on in the huddle right now?
And you go, man, and that changes things. But I guess the ball's going in Isaiah's hands, and either Isaiah will get a look on a dribble drive, or one of the bigs, or one of the three-point shooters, will get a look out on the perimeter.
Taylor with the drive, floats it up. Prince Ibeh tries to slap it in there. And it's on to the break. 37-27. As for the first time this season, a half goes by, and Texas has not hit.
Make sure we execute, play together, play hard, play smart.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. Best of luck in the second half. Guys, back to you.
So, Lance, if you don't have that individual that can just carry you, what's the TCU approach to try to close that 10-point gap here in the second half?
Well, I think Coach Johnson said it perfectly. They need the whole because the parts are not good enough to get it done on an individual basis, so not to be overly repetitive. They've got to rely on the system, and you'll look for harder cuts here in the second half, and you'll look for a lot more aggression as they amp up the intensity but Texas needs to match that intensity if they want to negate it.
13 seconds in, and we have the first whistle of the second half. First shot, nailed. Brandon Parrish with a three.
Well, now that was aggressive in itself. And when you don't hesitate, it sometimes can give you an extra jolt of confidence. There you saw Parrish with the long three ball.
Parrish can get it going, as can Javon Felix. Parrish was 5 of 6 from 3 against Texas, but Javon Felix, one of those guys for the Longhorns that really we've seen when Texas needs a bucket in a critical situation. Javon Felix, just as much as Isaiah Taylor, has been there. Parrish, hard to the hoop. Contact with Prince Ibeh, and Parrish wins that one. Back-to-back for Parrish to open up the second half.
Yeah, and I thought Ibeh did a great job. I mean, it was an excellent finish by Parrish, but also by Ibeh not committing the foul. The ref swallowed his whistle. Impressive all the way around. Defensive, offensively, and the referee.
The trifecta going there for you, Lance.
Yeah.
Javon Crowley, short on the jumper. It's Michael Williams with the rebound.
Yeah, and speaking of Javon, he made the last three. That's only the 4th three made this season by Texas against TCU.
Did not have a good shooting performance from distance in that first matchup on January 9th.
And I think that was in large part because, again, the team was still trying to find themselves. And then tonight, I just think it's a function of the pressure that Texas is applying to TCU. It's ending up with easy baskets around the rim. I mean, that's which is why they're...
And you'll take those.
Absolutely, you'll take those. I mean, you can get those kind of shots, the shots that they've gotten around the rim, shooting, as I said earlier, 62%, 63% from 2. Why not?
So the guy that hit the game winner, Washburn, picks up his 3rd foul. Kendall Yancey.
You know, and if there is such thing as a good turnover, that was one, because it allows the defense to set, and you can now have your press. Live ball turnovers are killers. And so you'll take the aggressiveness with that kind of turnover and see what you can get out of your press.
Trent Johnson spent a lot of time in shoot-around talking about inconsistency with this team, particularly with the press. Thought they handled it well against West Virginia. Didn't handle it well in that first matchup against Texas. You see more issues here. It's a nice move to the hoop from Malik Trent. And TCU finding a little offensive flow here, closing the gap to 6.
Well, you know, Coach Johnson, as he told Jane coming out of the locker room, more aggression, and we're seeing the benefits of that here early. Texas, again, is going to have to match it.
What a block.
If they want to maintain this lead.
Grodzianski with a block on Javon Felix. Let's go back, though, and check out Malik Trent. Get these buckets.
Well, it's great pass. And, you know, once you get into the defense, things start breaking down, Lowell, because the defense collapses and rotations aren't as clean. When you get in the middle like that, it's about finding the right people. That was well executed.
Trent played against Texas, had 3 points. Missed the 3 games after that as he was suspended for a violation of team rules. Returned against Iowa State. And he is a guy that has a bright future here at TCU. His last season was the NJCAA Freshman of the Year. Grodzianski. Trying to let it fly over Lamb.
I'm impressed. Grodzianski.
Yeah, I'm impressed too, Lance.
Really impressive.
Short on the floater from Taylor.
But speaking of which, you mentioned Trent. This whole team, next year, this will be a better team because they'll be more experienced together. You know, they're not extremely young, but they're not seniors either. And so, you know, when they get over the injury bug, this will be a better team next year.
The sweeping hook. No good from Abram. Felix 2-on-1. Tries to do it himself. Taylor tried to get up and get that one. Looked like it was still on the rim.
And you mentioned the sweeping hook with Abram. He's got to create contact. You know, when he sweeps away from these bigs, it's just hard to score against Texas's length. He showed us early by getting into the body of Ibeh, he can negate that length and score better than he can when Abram tries to distance himself.
Lambert with rebound number 6. Point of emphasis for Shaka Smart coming into this game. He wants to be better on the defensive glass. Felix, only 2 3-pointers made in this game. All in the second half, all courtesy of Javon Felix.
Yeah, and that was created, even though they're playing a zone, TCU is, that was created by the 2 high screens.
Looks like a travel.
Texas set.
They're going to get the call. Once again, Texas just getting TCU out of its comfort zone. Javon Felix has found one with the flick from the outside. He's got
here, and the big's going to have to come over to help. And when that happens, it's going to free up the other corner for Felix to knock it down. Well executed by the Longhorns, getting screens in the zone.
So those are better looks than they had late in the first half.
Absolutely, because they were a little more passive and just passing around the perimeter of the zone, which is what the zone wants you to do.
Prince Ibeh cleaning up. He now has 9 points. As Lambert passed up the 3. That's what happens. Texas being aggressive, attacking the hoop. Even though Lambert had the miss, Prince Ibeh there with the tip.
Yeah, and anytime you can get into the teeth of a zone, it forces the defense to collapse, which gets people out of position. It's one of the hardest things to do is rebound in the zone because you're not responsible for people or bodies. You're responsible for an area.
Prince Ibeh with the block. Texas ball.
And Miller, I mean, just nothing there for Miller. He's pretty bouncy young freshman, but he's not going to be able to go in there and finish over the length of an Ibeh. Those freshmen have to be able to learn and discern where to stop and what spaces to get in order to get their shot off.
3 blocks for Prince Ibeh. 10 now over the past 2 games. Foul number 3 called on Isaiah Taylor. Taking it back to Prince Ibeh, the remarkable thing is you have players in foul trouble on both sides, TCU and Texas, but Prince Ibeh still no fouls so far in this game.
I think that's quite impressive. He's really come a long way from earlier in the season when not only could he not stay on the floor, he almost couldn't stay in games where he would consistently foul out of games. So I think tonight's just a perfect storm of the rules, the way the refs are calling it, and both teams are aggressive on either end because both teams know what it's going to take in order to win the game like tonight.
Miller almost lost the handle. Trent was calling for it. Nearly the same for him. TCU and issues just catching the basketball. Under 10 on the shot clock. Three on the clock. Ibeh affects another shot. The shot clock winding down.
Good job by Texas of keeping them out on the perimeter.
7 rebounds now for Prince Ibeh.
And that's a perfect example of what I mean about the freshmen not being discerning. You like their aggression, but you don't always have to go look for a basket when you have the ball and you can be aggressive without scoring.
High and off the glass. Malik Trent now has 4 points.
Trent, special finish there. That was a force shot. And here you'll see a zone there. Look at the screen right on top. Texas is going to have to find a way to break this zone down in order to get a clean look at the basket.
Perimeter passes until Felix gets into the paint and loses the rock.
Got to bounce past that. He got all those arms and hands and your passing lanes.
Offensive rebound. Miller's going to get called for the travel. Too much hesitation there.
And it won't, well, I guess it will show up in the box score with the travel. But Ibeh won't get credit for it, and he should. That was created. Well, watch the long arms here. Holds his space. Miller can't finish there, so Ibeh draws the travel and gets the turnover. I mean, what a great game. He's really coming into his own. The more and more he plays, the more and more he's able to impact games in different ways. And even with the bonus of offense tonight, Lowell.
And let's be honest, we weren't sure what to expect from Prince Ibeh when Cam went down, shouldering the brunt of the load in the front court.
Yeah. We weren't, and I'm not sure he knew what to expect because he was having so many problems staying in games. The next level of this is building on it and doing it consistently.
Roach to the hoop. The harm. Opportunity for the three-point play. As Roach now has 12 points, a chance for 13.
And Roach did something similar early in the game, benefiting from the lack of length and size there. I think that's Shepard who tries to step over. And I mean, if you're going to hit someone at the rim, you might as well make sure they don't get the ball off. I mean, between Shepard and Roach, we're not talking about a lot of girth. But you certainly don't want to give a ticky-tack foul and allow him to finish at the rim.
Roach one shy of his career high. Got 13 points, that career high 14. Texas up by 12.
And Texas back in the man, applying a lot of pressure on the ball.
Parrish with the pull-up. Ugly miss.
Credit Felix for the all-ball defense there.
Breaking down Parrish off the dribble. Kick it back out.
How about the movement with the ball here?
And again, we've mentioned it, but not a big interior shot blocking presence for this TCU team.
No, and you've got to take advantage of that by either getting in the seams and to the rim.
Opportunity to talk about it. Texas up by 12. Largest lead. That lead back to 12 points. Paul Galindo here with Lance Blanks. Prince Ibeh having a career game, perhaps. Closing in on a double-double. It's 9 points, 7 rebounds. It's most impressive from what you've seen so far from this Texas team, Lance.
Well, just the ability to apply the type of pressure they've applied when they've applied it. And I think we got a taste of havoc, particularly in the first half, where they were just turning them over, and TCU couldn't even run offense.
Davis tried to slip that pass right beyond Rodzianski, looking for Shaq Claire.
Yeah, we've seen this a couple of times. The bounce pass is okay. It's okay to throw a bounce pass, especially from that angle. Take one dribble down to the baseline and throw a bounce pass.
Javon Felix gets it in before the 5 seconds expire. Claire working on Rodzianski. The big fellow with the block. Second attempt, we got the foul.
And that was the right pass. That was the bounce pass. The pass before that got knocked out of bounds was not. And from that angle, you've got to use the right pass. And it may sound like a small detail, but it can really affect the rhythm of the offense and the receiver's ability to score the ball. That's why guys at the highest level, a guy, let's say, like LeBron James, is so good, because he throws the ball on time and on target. And of course, he's at a different level with college. But even in college, the better players or the better passers are able to deliver the ball on time, on target, and make the right pass at the right time to different teammates.
Texas has been so good at that, at fewer than 10 turnovers in the previous 5 games. First time they've done that since at least going back to the 93-94 season. Streak comes to an end tonight with 10 turnovers here for Texas. More pressure. TCU able to break out of that. Trent trying to break down Kerwin Roach. Shepard was there for the feed inside. Got contact on the play.
Yeah, that was a function of not helping the helper. Claire will come over to help. Now watch in the center of your screen there. Felix Davis, someone has to drop into the lap of Shepard. It's called helping the helper.
3 fouls for Javon Felix. Shepard knocks his first one down. Hasn't hit from the field. He is 3 for 3 from the charity stripe. Gavar Shepard, highest ranked recruit, TCU history. Trent Johnson, Not a huge fan of recruiting rankings. Believes it's all about identifying the guys that work with your program. You just don't know when you're out there recruiting who's going to be the right fit sometimes until you get guys on campus.
Kerwin Roach. How about that? That's
floating. Zero gravity right there.
Zero gravity. Looked like that was going into the third row. Roach showing the ability to come up off the floor.
Showing the softer, more gentle side with those attacks to the rim. But it's working. As a career high 15 points. Helping his teammate here, Tevin Mack.
Boy, involved in every play. He'll sneak right behind the defense, and only one man in the gym can get up. And he makes that look easy.
And that's elite hop right there.
Absolutely it is. And he did a great job. There was a mismatch defensively with Washburn having him post up. And I thought he did as good, if not a better job than some of the bigs tonight, because he forced a difficult turnaround and got a hand up. You know, something you don't appreciate about Roach, not only is his leaping ability, but his length. He's got really long arms.
And Jane, it doesn't take a lot of watching to realize that Snoop Roach, special prospect.
Yeah, he won the state triple jump title. They knew they had a special athlete. You guys saw some of the videos that they showed over the summer of what his athletic ability was, and he just continues to make the big plays. And when he does it, it really starts to spark the team, and we're seeing that tonight.
And this is where he is at his best, when he's playing with Isaiah Taylor, playing off the ball, and he doesn't have that responsibility of running the show from the point guard position.
Yeah, and truthfully, they can play off of each other, and it is a lot of pressure for him to run the offense, not only because of the dribbling and passing the ball, but he's a lot younger. He's a freshman, and these are upperclassmen, and so it's like having to tell your big brother what to do is difficult. It's one thing to be able to dribble and pass. It's another to run offense with older guys.
But the future at the point for Roach?
No question. And, you know, he's got a little bit of combo guard in him, especially for the collegiate level, simply because he can. I think Roach has been extremely impressive with his ability to get to the rim. I mean, and we're not talking about one of the bigger guys on the floor taking hits, slicing, dicing. Here we'll see the young fella at the free throw line. This is an emerging player. And, you know, as a freshman, sometimes forward, one step back, 3 steps forward, 3 steps back. But he stayed with it. I think Texas fans are seeing the future here in this young man, Roach, and he's learning from a great one in Isaiah Taylor.
15-point lead, largest of the game for Texas. And not really push the issue, but who knows next season with the way Isaiah Taylor is playing right now. Possibility that the NBA comes calling. It could be Snoop Roach's show to run next season.
Absolutely, and he's got to be ready for that. I mean, not only does he need the reps this year to get better, he's got to get better through the season. Just prepare himself for being the man next year should Taylor move on.
Tevin Mack going WWE style with Chris Washburn there.
Again, these are freshman fouls to me. There's no need to foul. I mean, you got a 15-point lead. You're applying great pressure and getting turnovers.
Prince Ibeh once again, but on the backside is Shepard cleaning it up. 11 second chance points now for TCU.
And, you know, I wish they would measure, or I'm sorry, keep stats for alter shots. I mean, Ibeh has just been excellent in forcing tough shots around the rim.
40th foul in the game. But that's great when you talk about stats, because there's so many more things that you can learn from a player and their dominance that goes beyond the box score. I've always thought with the assist number as well, that's reliant on someone making a shot. But there's so many times where guys don't get the credit in the box score for making a pass that sets somebody up in the right position. Hold on, Lance. Hold on. What just happened?
Yeah. Well, that's
what just happened.
We had a bank earlier in the game. I think that was almost a swish.
Shaka Smart even loving it. 2 for 2.
Was a swish. Wow.
Sports Center top 10. At least for the Irwin Center crowd. More havoc. Roach in the face of Trent. Watch out. Oh, that time slips it past Prince Ibeh. Good move there from Malik Trent in traffic.
Well, you got to take your hat off if you can finish like that.
Look, there's on the other side, Washburn forcing that one away from that. Spin move, perhaps some steps. Shepard draws the foul.
Yeah, and you talk about the free throws that Ibeh made. I mean, there was almost a lull in Texas. You have to do everything with a purpose, and I'm not so sure that they followed up those free throws with what I would call purposeful pressing. They were a little lax, which has allowed TCU to continue to stay aggressive and stay within
striking distance.
Exactly.
And TCU has shown they have the ability. We saw them get the win against Texas, but in other games in Big 12 play, they've been in it late. Closing out has been the issue for this TCU team. Trent strips it away from DeMarcus Holland. Parrish tried to send it into single digits, but Texas not cleaning up that defensive glass. Collins had the rebound. That one stripped away.
And you don't have to go look for a basket here. Good job, Mac. That's growth. That's growth, because earlier in the year, maybe even earlier in the game, he's looking to score from that position with 5 people back defensively.
Unlimited range, at least in his own mind. Prince Ibeh, the kick. First miss from the field. For Roach. Prince Ibeh. Another opportunity to keep the hot streak alive.
And this is where we want him. If you're a Texas fan, you want him on the free throw line.
You do? In this new world, that is Prince Ibeh's world, perhaps so. 4 fouls on Collins. 1 away from that limit. So he has a permanent spot on the bench. 14% free throw shooter. Went 2 of 2 last time. I'll take 2 of 3.
2 of 3 ain't bad. But we talk about TCU, and they've got it to 11 points with the mass substitution here. And Texas needs to extend this lead again and keep them from striking distance.
He's hit 3 of his last 4. 4 for 5 in the game. TCU throws it away, the hounding pressure. Really, that's been the difference between Texas and TCU in this game. Longhorns coming out, establishing
the agreement to a 7 seed. And I think a case can be made for, really, you just throwing stuff against the wall earlier in the season, because you don't necessarily know what teams are going to look like when they match up with other teams. In this conference, they've shown that anyone can beat anyone on any given night. And so Texas included in that, especially with the way that they play.
Prince Ibeh was trying to rip down the rim. Looking Kerwin Roach style there. But what Texas has when it comes to the tournament resume is something that teams always beg for. See Prince Ibeh there with the elevation.
Yeah, just a little bit closer to the rim. And what is that? What do teams beg for?
They've got the signature wins. They've got a win at home against North Carolina, the road win at West Virginia, win here against Iowa State. Selection committee puts so much in to the big wins you have. Can you beat upper echelon teams. It would appear if they just continue to win the games, especially they're supposed to win, it's not like they need to pull major upsets now to get into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and maybe I'm biased or have seen too much of Texas. I don't think for me, it was never a question of them making the tournament. I mean, I just think
even when Cam Ridley went down.
Absolutely. This team is just too good. I mean, Isaiah is one of the better point guards in the country. Felix may not have.
Even when they lost to TCU.
Absolutely. I mean,
Prince Ibeh. Gobble it up. And the travel immediately after that. Well, Prince Ibeh, if you weren't a believer, he's making believers tonight.
Yeah, he's doing everything he can do on either end of the floor. Forcing turnovers, blocking shots. I mean, he's playing inspired basketball. And this is stuff you can build off of from a confidence standpoint. And it'll be interesting to see. They've got to close this game out up with 7:10 to go to see what he can do beyond this going forward. He's got to become reliable. And now you're taking things to another level. You can get it every night.
You better believe he's having fun doing this. A little too much with his shoulder. That is a charge. Shepard taking the brunt of that.
And not his game. They've done it, from earlier in the game. But that's not what Ibeh does. He's throwing it to him on the block. But guess what? You've got to reward the big fellas.
What's the big man version of the heat check?
Exactly. There you go. A good call.
Prince, in no way, shape, or form, enjoying the absence of Cam Ridley. For a guy that's worked through a lot, DeMarcus Holland's stuff, by the way, is enjoying his spot in the limelight and making the most of it.
As he should. I mean, he certainly worked hard enough and had enough games that he fouled out of early in the season. 10-second call is what that is. Fell asleep at the wheel there. Collins did getting the ball.
Something we thought we may see more of on this Texas team. First that I can recall here at the Irwin Center.
Yeah, you talk about the tournament. I mean, Texas had a very difficult start to their season in terms of scheduling and travel, and they were grinding it out. But this team is also an older team who has a lot of experience and they've been in the tournament the last 3 years or so there's no reason for them not to make it this season.
The selection committee also, he's just having some fun. Isaiah Taylor in scramble mode, take two, collects himself, puts it down on Malik Trent. Have a game, Prince Ibeh.
Yeah, how about that? Taylor trying to spoon feed Ibeh. Texas lost to TCU.
This place will erupt if Prince Ibeh converts on a three-point play.
I say he knocks it down.
I was expecting a little more, but after knocking down 3 of the previous 4, the Irwin Center has come to expect that.
Exactly. They're accustomed to the big fella. And he's setting a standard for himself tonight in every phase of the game.
Now you got to follow it up. Show that consistency. You've done it 2 nights in a row. Bar's been set. 15-point lead for Texas. Washburn trips. Little travel call. We're going the other way. Well, we're talking about the selection committee and the fact that Cam Ridley is not in the mix. Something the selection committee will also look at. And some of those losses early on without Cam Ridley, they will consider that when Selection Sunday rolls around.
Well, and they should. And I think what it'll be about for Texas really is seeding. And a team like Texas, that's what it should be about every season. I mean, the selection committee is not looking for reasons to not have Texas in the tournament. I mean, this is a big-time program with very good talent and a great coach and a great conference.
And pretty significant news today with Cam Ridley. You'll see him over there on the bench in the boot. It's been 4 weeks since that surgery to correct the broken foot. They call this the protection phase, the early stages, the first 4 weeks. Training staff says that's over. They really could not do much in the way of rehab in those first 4 weeks. Now Cam is allowed to start bearing a little more weight on that foot. Can't put all 290 pounds on it, but to take some of that pressure off, it's going to start working out the foot a little bit more. Took his first dip today.
And I had a similar fracture, so I'm very familiar with it. And the difficulty of that fracture is, one, the waiting, because a bone takes 8 to 10 weeks to heal. And once it heals, the second phase of the difficulty is the comfort and rhythm and conditioning. It's not like you get to week 8 or 10 and you're automatically rolling. But the staff's doing a good job of balancing that out, where you can introduce things like water treadmill, you know, as you say, zero gravity, so that once the 10 to 12 week mark gets here, maybe he's further along than he would normally have been.
And Jane, that's a big focus now with Cam Ridley, making sure if they get him back, he's in the condition, ready to be a factor.
And as you said, even though he's in that gradual reintroduction phase, they have been really making sure that he's staying active and engaged with this team. You know, the biggest concern for him when he was injured was that he was going to start gaining weight again. He had really committed this year to maintaining a healthier lifestyle, got his body weight to exactly where they wanted it. So now that he's able to put a little bit more pressure on the foot, that's a good thing. But before that, they had him riding the bike with one leg, lifting weights and doing boxing-type workouts on his knees just to make sure that he was still getting that upper body conditioning. Well,
Shaka Smart says in a recent practice he burned 1,500 calories. They tracked this from every player. That was second on the team. And he wasn't even practicing.
Yeah, and I think the staff does a very good job with addressing the psychological part of this. And to your point, 1,500 calories in a practice, and with a broken foot. And so not only that, integrating him with the staff, you see where he's sitting on the bench. I mean, all these things help in an organic way.
There we go.
When it's time
Working
to
it
get
in.
back on the floor.
And Shaka said in his press conference that they're hopeful they can get him back. Whether it's the end of the Big 12 schedule or for the Big 12 tournament. Prince Ibeh up to 17. Roach with the steal. Back to Roach. Little give and go. Off the turnover. Roach, Taylor, back to Roach. He's got 19.
Yeah, and you can still play and practice important things in a game. One, you want to execute in your press. And something, again, we talked about it earlier, they're closing out those passing lanes, execute in finishing. And probably most important, Lowell, execute your focus. I mean, especially for the younger guys have a tendency to sometimes lose focus, become a little distracted, if you will. And so here's an opportunity, and you've got a lead late in the game, a big lead that is, an 18-point lead. And you've got to stay focused and close out the game. That's the sign of a good team, quite frankly.
Chauncey Collins, 4 from 4 from the free throw line. 2 leading scorers, somewhat unexpected here for Texas. Kerwin Roach with 19, Prince Ibeh was 17. Both career highs. Roach wanted to add to it. Brodzianski soaring for the rebound. Brent Johnson really likes the upside of Brodzianski. European player trying to get accustomed to the physicality of this game, and he's getting a big test here as Ibeh comes up with block number 5.
And Vladimir Brodzianski, he's got to get stronger if he's going to have success, which he will.
Connor Lambert, pure from outside. After hitting 5 against Kansas, he gets his first make from 3-point distance. The first 3 points of the game.
Over there, Isaiah tried to draw the foul. Yeah. A little bit too much salesmanship, I think. But also, how about this 20-point lead? I mean, this lead and score we're looking at, this shows how much different of a place either team is relative to when they played earlier in the month.
Texas continues to attack. Roach driving, drawing the foul. The night belongs to Roach and Prince Ibeh. Stick-to-itiveness. Didn't get the
possessions were called plays where he took advantage of his size over Rodzianski down low, size and length. And from there, he just built on top of it. I mean, it's amazing what confidence can do for you. Because Ibeh, his game is not necessarily scoring the ball.
Kirby Roach, one shy of 20. The most dependable player of the game. The big hug from Big Cheese. That's some teamship.
That's teamship. How about the little nuance with Coach Smart allowing him to go back on the court after the timeout and then having Claire come into the game so fans and teammates could recognize arguably his best performance since he's been here at the university.
Now, there's nothing guaranteed about getting Cam Ridley back. But what does this mean if they can get Cam Ridley back at the end of the season to have also this type of development with Prince Ibeh?
Well, it means that you have another option, and you can potentially play bigger than you would normally play and play these guys together. Ridley, as big and girthy as he is, he can stretch the floor because he has a nice touch.
Yeah.
And so at times, potentially, he can play some 4. With Ibeh playing 5, they can play some high-low. There's so many different things that you can do. It just gives you a whole nother element and option when you've got another big integrated and comfortable and confident with what he can do and how he can impact the game.
So I tell you, coming into this game, that Taylor and Felix would combine to shoot 4 of 17. How are you feeling about the Texas chances?
Issues. I'm feeling issues. But thanks to a game plan for Shaka Smart and his staff, they created this through I thought the defense and the pressing, and then of course, and let's not forget Roach. He was a nice support mechanism to what Ibeh did on either end of the floor. Yeah, and that's not where Washburn excels against a team like Texas. Even though he's a 4-man, he's got to space the floor, I think, to have success. He's just a bit too undersized to get a whole lot done around that basket.
So if you're TCU, how do you stop the bleeding? Because at this point, looks like they're approaching 7 losses in the span of 8 games. And the schedule, it's the Big 12. It's not going to ease up one bit.
I think they've conceded the fact that it's an uphill battle for them, as it is for other teams, every single night. And because of that, my sense is the way you stop it is you play hard, you try to grow through this season and prepare yourself for next season. I mean, I mentioned it earlier, Kenrich Williams going out, the injury with Washburn earlier in the season. I mean, just going to be difficult for them this season, but it doesn't mean they can't play hard and get better and prepare themselves for next season now.
They'll get a look at the former head coach of the Texas Longhorns, the winningest coach in program history, Rick Barnes, as he brings his Tennessee Volunteers to Fort Worth on Saturday. See that 1 Central Time on ESPN2. Coach Barnes back in the Lone Star State. Nice spin and finish from Chris Washburn.
I mean, historically, TCU has had good players. Kurt Thomas led the nation in scoring at one point. Very good NBA player. Dennis Nutt, a great shooter in the Nutt family, who full of coaches and success. In fact, he was coach at Texas State at one point. So they've seen Ibeh, one of the great coaches there. I mean, they've seen and had success at the university, not only in football as we see in present day, but in basketball. So with that new facility, they've multi-million-dollar facility they put in. I think they're expecting big things next season as these guys grow more mature and guys get healthy.
And up next for Texas, going to see them on Saturday on ESPN2, taking part in the Big 12 SEC Challenge presented by Sonic. As Texas plays host to the Vanderbilt Commodores. See it Saturday morning, 11 Central on ESPN2. How would you feel as a coach being in the heart of conference play and then a little curveball coming your way, going out of conference?
Well, I think it's good for the conference. As a coach, I would invite that, because I think the better coaches prepare themselves for the spring, meaning the tournament. And so this opportunity for Texas to go play at Vandy, I mean, it gives you a chance to check the temperature of your team against other teams, especially when you get to play against a team that's from a big-time conference like the SEC or the ACC, if that's the case. So hats off. I applaud it. And as a coach, I would welcome it for my ball club.
Texas continuing a pretty dominant start at home to this season, and 9-1 here at the Irwin Center. 13 straight wins in the Irwin Center against TCU. That lone loss this season, pretty competitive game against the UConn Huskies.
You know, that you hear a lot of people talk about moral victories and not believing in them. I think there is something that can be said sometimes from having what I call a successful failure. Failure in that certainly you always, and I mean always, want to get the win. But when you do lose, you can get something out of it. And I thought they got a lot out of the UConn game, and it was a successful failure in that less than 24 hours before, they had lost one of their best players in Ridley. They came out and competed and had a chance to win that game.
Another turnover for TCU, number 19. 56 fouls in this game.
Lowell, one of the signs of a good team also is when different guys step up. And we're seeing that with this Texas team. We talked about it with Roach and Ibeh having career nights tonight. And, when your best players can have okay games, you win by a large margin. It's a good sign of a good team.
Shaq Claire working for that. The back down spin move. Could not get it to go. Final 20 seconds. Shepard pulling up. And TCU is going to have another opportunity with 15 seconds on the clock. TCU will move to 1-7 in Big 12 play. The only team with one Big 12 win. As for Texas, keeping pace. Just one game out of the Big 12 lead.
Yeah, you mentioned striking distance in the game earlier. Striking distance in the conference. I mean, it's just a difficult conference. And I think Kansas is in trouble this year with all these teams behind them.
Shaka Smart and the Texas Longhorns victorious in a rematch against the TCU.